Hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome. Just letting everyone file in. We've got a bit of an agenda coming together in the notes here. So come join us there if you aren't there yet. And if I've missed anything off, please feel free to add and add your name as well at the top. I will do the same.
Hey there.
Hello, hello. All right. Starting to get there. I'll give it another minute. I think we usually give it a couple as people come in.
Hello.
Hello.
Anonymized names in the docs are amazing. We've just seen anonymous Dumbo octopus, which I quite liked.
The new animals. Dumbo octopus. It's weird because it's an extra word. They're all like one word, and that one's like, no, it's not just an octopus. It's a Dumbo octopus. Yeah. Cool. All right. I always like to get started relatively on time because I don't want to coach people into coming late. So even though I respect it takes sometimes effort to get between those virtual rooms, so we can get started. So this is for, if everyone's in the right spot, the working group platforms meeting that we do fortnightly. I think it's the first of the year though, because of holidays and things. So we didn't meet up on the first. So this is the first of 2025. The first thing we tend to do is give people a chance to say hi if they're new to the group and want to introduce themselves. Just a really quick one-liner sort of thing about what brought you to the group in case there's that triggers in any of the other members a reason to reach out and offer to like connect you with people and get you involved in things you're interested in. So do any new faces want to say hi to the group and introduce themselves?
Yeah, I'll just start in real quick. Brian Yugi, I'm with Adobe. Abby, I met you at the KubeCon North America. I was at the session there for this tag group, and so I was interested in what this group and the infrastructure group is doing at Adobe. We're on a journey to try and create the platform, connect the infrastructure to the applications and the workloads. So trying to be here and help out as I can.
Definitely. Glad to see you here.
Perfect. I can go next. So I'm Turja. I'm from Bangalore. I lead the global platform pre-sales team at EY. So we have a big platform within EY. We have been working on platforms for roughly 4 to 5 years. Happy to be here.
Welcome.
I might jump in. Hi everyone. My name's Ryan. I'm an architect for a company called REA Group in Melbourne, Australia. So it's nice and early for myself at the moment. But I stumbled upon this group probably about 4 or 5 months ago. So I've just kind of been following along in the background a little bit. So I've kind of done had a bit of background in open source, more on the code side of things, and I think I was quite attracted to this as a kind of a working group and a in more around some of the processes like the maturity models and those other kind of things as well. So keen to contribute in those areas as well.
Great, welcome. I heard the accent. I was curious if you were coming from actually down under or living somewhere else. And well done on
From
getting
down
up
under. Yeah.
getting up at this. Well done. Cool. I missed
Hello,
anybody?
everybody. Yeah,
Great.
Ricardo from Brazil. I work as a head of platform engineering for a rewards company in Brazil called Livelo. I'm very curious about the subject and hope to help in some way here. That's my first time, so I just looked at the content in the last meetings. I'm very curious about the platform maturity assessment that you guys are working on. So I hope to be helpful here.
Awesome. Welcome. We are really covering the continents today. This is awesome. Welcome.
Hey all, I'm Sayak, and I also work as a platform engineer for Peace Innovation Labs. And this is my second meeting. I joined my first one right after KubeCon India. So yeah, it's been a month since the last meeting, but happy to be here again.
Awesome. Glad to see you again. Yeah, we took a bit of a break there. I hope everyone got a bit of a mental rest over the holidays. So, all right. I missed anyone?
Yeah, I just joined. Hello, everyone. I'm going to introduce myself. This is my first time in the work group platforms. I just joined my first meeting on the community tag meeting last week. So yeah, as I said earlier, previous meeting, I'm here to share my experience, learn from other folks, and find a way to contribute to how I can help.
Amazing. Lovely. So, I think I'll go one more call just because I keep missing people. So, just in case, if I missed anyone else, I don't want to miss anyone. Okay, great. Well, welcome to all the new faces. Welcome back to all the existing, like the previous members and people who've been around. We understand that people come and go at times. It's lovely to see everyone here. And yeah, we definitely have some projects to talk about. So just for a bit of how we work, this meeting is about making sure the group is all sort of sharing information and aware of what projects are ongoing and getting helps answered and those kinds of things. We try and allocate about 20 minutes at the back part of the meeting to have a bit of a discussion about a topic within the domain of platform engineering. But the main focus at the first part of the meeting is almost housekeeping of like, where are the projects going on, what's happening, so that people can make sure to reach out and get involved in the deeper level work that they're interested in. So we're not going to go deep into any of the one projects that are ongoing today, but you'll understand where hopefully to go if you want to get involved. So that's sort of the goal of today, or of these meetings. So with that in mind, we'll start with some housekeeping. So is Brian, did I see Brian? Yeah, Brian, you have some housekeeping around the calendar lists, listing
Yes,
times
just
on
on the
CNCF.
CNCF community meetings calendar, we're still listed as 5 till 6. So in fact, that link is probably not the best to follow, but it's cncf.io/calendar.
It is like whack-a-mole trying to find where these things are listed. It is out of control.
I think they
Interesting.
eliminated one of the calendar URLs and just redirected. There used to be a difference between calendar.cncf and I think it
Gotcha. So
it just redirects now to CNCF/calendar.
So when you say 5 to 6, let me just see. So because I'm wondering if this is pointing at, yeah. So this is a slightly confusing. So I'm glad you raised this, Brian. So this is the meeting that you linked to there. If you see at the beginning, it says additional meeting. We could maybe make this a little bit clearer. Is what I'm hearing. That is actually the meeting of where we're doing the deep dive around the assessment. So if you look maybe 4 or 5 calendar items higher in the list, I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4 calendar items higher in the list. We are on from 4 to 5 for the CNCF for the working group, but we can do I think it's a fair shout to look at doing a bit of a name change on that, to call it a deep dive, or to somehow make it clear that that's not the main meeting. But yes, that is adding confusion. I appreciate the
No, that's
call
just
out.
my
So
tiny brain just not scrolling, not looking at the full answer. That's all good.
no, you're good. No, you're all good. That's awesome. Cool. So then the second piece of housekeeping is some exciting news. So you have all been forced to listen to me, for the people who've been around for a while, for 18 months now as one of the co-leads. And one of the things that's awesome about the CNCF is that it encourages sort of these rotations to encourage new thinking and new ideas, and just give people opportunities to experience being in the different positions, because who you get to meet with and talk to and learn from as a lead is different than as a participant in the group. And so I'm nearing the end of my 2 years, and I am going to rotate out at the end of 2 years, out of just an interest in trying to keep the group moving forward and also keep my own sanity. I think it's healthy to get breaks, and I may come back around to another role at some point in the future, but want to step down from leadership for a short bit. So with that in mind, we've got about 6 months until I'm going to step down, and I'd love to see that be something that is like a smooth transition to whoever joins the team next. So Atul and Colin are fantastic co-leads. You'll be joining them. You won't be by yourself. But if this is something that interests you to understand more about what it means to be a lead, and think about taking up the baton from me in June-ish, we've got some time. So reach out to me or either the other 2 leads to understand the role a bit more, to understand, if it's the right fit for you, if you want to do that, what we can do to support you to feel like you're comfortable to take on that role. And yeah, I'd love to see, anyone who's interested reach out. So I don't know if there's any questions now. I also am very happy with DMs or group chats. I don't mind. So if anyone has any questions now about the lead process or anything else, please do ask.
One question, but you're still stay active in this group, or are you also?
No, just disappear completely. No, yeah,
Yeah.
I do intend to still be active. I think it's something I want to think on, because I definitely am aware of uh the presence that I can bring to a room. It's something I get feedback on all of the time, and I don't want to step on people's toes that are taking over from lead. So I'm not going to disappear as a human from the CNCF or from the platform engineering community in any way, but you might see me take a bit more of a backseat than you'd expect in those first kind of 6 months or so, just to make sure that people don't feel like they're kind of getting shadow led by someone who's been around for a while. So that would be the only thing you might notice, but it wouldn't be in a negative way. It would be in a trying to make sure things go well way. Yeah. And thank you for thinking of that. Unless your hope was that I'd go away, then I can take that on board as well.
No, the absolute opposite.
Well, the obvious thing, obviously, is to thank you for all your contributions so far, because you have been tremendous at keeping us all on track.
I
So thank
appreciate
you.
that. It's not, don't worry, I'm not going anywhere yet. This is just we've had the reason why I say this is really exciting is because we have had relatively quick turnovers on our last few rotations into lead, where we haven't been able to do an announcement like this and give people a chance to hand raise well, like, in time, and have those conversations, because there has been burnout, there has been rotations above us that have pulled people up and things like that. So this is exciting, because this is the way it should work. Is it should be something where, you see it coming, people have a chance to step in, and all of that. So, but I appreciate that, Brian. Thank you. All right, well then I won't slough off my duties just yet. We'll continue on. Cool. So on to ongoing work. So one thing in my review of open issues that I've done this week is that we have an amazing number of translations, which is super exciting. And it's shown here, just as I mentioned, with all the great attendees here, but it'd be great to get some of these closed out. A lot of them are looking for sort of one more reviewer, which is a requirement to merge any translations, is that we have at least one additional native speaking reviewer. So if you spot your language, or you have a friend who speaks the language that you see here that you feel like you can get involved, it would be amazing to get support for the people who've already put like time and energy into starting these translations or getting them drafted and that kind of thing. So I'm not sure there's much more to say today other than just please be aware and help us recruit and support the people who are putting in that time and energy, because it is a lot of hard work and is much appreciated. So yeah. Cool. Aside from that, we have a few other kind of PRs and blogs and stuff. So in particular, we've got 2 blogs that we want to put out around the last 2 KubeCons. So that's Salt Lake City, which is North America, and India, which was in Delhi. So I think both are sort of at the late review stage at this point. In particular, what we're looking for is someone to do a small write-up for Salt Lake City about the tag app delivery booth experience. So if anyone spent some time at the booth and feel like they could do a bit of just a couple sentences about the experience there, or some of the key highlights. So, I think David, you may have helped out a bit with the lightning talks, or whoever, anyone else who did. If you can just put a couple sentences in there, that would be super helpful, and we'll hopefully get these translated, or these posted in the next couple weeks. Thanks, David. And then sorry, any questions around that before I move on to the next one? Sorry, these are more like almost tick items. But cool. So then let's jump into one of the bigger projects. So the PAP research. Dominic, you've got your name down there. Do you want to give a bit of an update?
Sure, yeah. Already the last session in last year, we talked about getting the raw interview scripts out on GitHub for everybody to, get an overview to see what's happened so far. Because we have some new faces here, just to reiterate, we are looking at a bit of a deep dive into a specific topic of the maturity model, which is managing the platform as a product. The goal of our research there is to just see how the industry organizes their work, and if they use product management patterns, and if that says something about their platform maturity and stuff like that. So that's a general idea behind the interview. We have 2 ways on how to collect data. One is with interviews. We have a given script that we prepared, and then we do the interviews with the same script of potential, different people, different organizations. If you want to participate there, we also have a blog post that I sure can pull out and link after I've spoken, where you can find the link with a short form to just help us do interviews, or shadow interviews, and just that. All right. Yeah, the interview scripts, the raw form, as I said, I promise I'll get them on GitHub, but sadly the transcripts are in a tricky state. So transcript tools with all the hype around ChatGPT and so on are not yet as smart as one might think. So especially with the size of the transcripts, they are at times somewhat in a poor form. I used my time, as we say in Germany, between the years after Christmas and before New Year, to get them into a better state and to anonymize them so that we can push it out, because that's what we promised to the people, that we really make sure they are well anonymized and all that, so they can openly talk to us. And then I got into the AI rabbit hole of text refactoring, and it took way more time. So we had a bit of a discussion, and in the lead group of that research, and we decided to not manipulate the transcripts that we have at hand, but just make sure they are proper anonymized, and put them in its raw form once we are fine with the anonymization, and then do the manipulation afterwards, because any manipulation of those raw data sets are basically already interpretation of it in some form whatsoever. So I'm doing this now. I'm currently in the process of anonymizing them. Just today I did my 5th of those interviews. So 2 to go, and then we get some additional review on it, and then they should be out in no time. That also means we can, and I guess we should, start with some synthesis on the data that we have and try to, actually interpret it, find something. Because we also have a survey running where people can just do a questionnaire without having to talk to us, because some people don't talk don't love to talk like to people. So we have 19 survey results and, as I said, a bit more than 5 interview scripts. So maybe we set up a meeting and everybody who's interested can just go in, we look at the data, we see if we can spot something, if we can work on something. How about that? What would you say to that? Not everybody at once, please.
Are you looking to get the recordings aligned with the AI transcripts? I mean, AI transcripts I find useless because they never get my accent at all, right? Strong Scottish.
Yeah. Exactly. That was also the big problem. You can directly see that. For example, I did all my interviews with Google Meet and then used the Google Meet transcript. All the advertisement they do with Gemini, I don't think that's behind their transcription tool at this stage. But yeah, if you can see that people without heavy accents are like, those transcripts are way better than people with a heavy accent. So I was trying to refine those in a way. Didn't really work that well. I used Whisper, and then but Whisper can't identify who's saying what, and then so I had to align that with the transcript. Didn't really work that well. So now we just keep it as is, and then leave any interpretation, any cleanup, any refinement of that to the actual work that we do in the synthesis then.
I found ones that we've been doing in work where I've had to listen to the recording, maybe at 1.5 speed, and actually read through the transcript and just do some editing like that, and just use the Mark I brain and eyeballs to sort that out. Right, that still works pretty well for me in fixing these. So I don't know if the ask was for someone to help doing that, because I'd do that. I'd actually learn a lot out of going through and doing that. So if that's an ask, hand up, right? I could help with that. Just let me know, because I think we put our hands up for other things, as you know, and some of those interviews didn't come off before Christmas and New Year. So there's time there, right? If you want it to be used for something else.
Sure. I mean, the big issue with that is the anonymization of the things. We had multiple interviewees that were very sensitive with the data protection. But as I said, we have an approach now, and as soon as they are anonymized, that's, I guess, good enough to get some good results. David was already experimenting a bit with AI created summaries, doing a summary of an answer, like of the answer of a question, and then relate the text or the summary from different parts in the text back to that one question that we asked. Ridiculous prompt magic that David has there, but the results were quite astonishing. So that's also something we can already bring into the first synthesis meeting. I was thinking about taking the off week, because if we use the additional meeting, I don't want to conflict with the assessment meet. So maybe we just take the slot of this meeting next week. I just don't know how to set up a meeting in that calendar, so maybe
I
you can
can
help
do
me
that.
get
That's
idea.
you don't know because it's unfortunately not something that is self-serve outside of
Okay.
Leads. So, but I can get that set up with you. So I'll ping you right after this on Slack and just make sure I get the right details.
Sure.
And get that request in ASAP. So,
All right.
yeah. Cool. Any other
Cool.
questions from people? This is also, they say, for some of the people who are newer joiners, this is a really good way to give back very quickly, is to participate as an interviewee or as an interviewer eventually. But you start as an interviewee if you're an end user, because before you get all tainted by your experience of seeing other people get interviewed. So just throwing that out there in case people are interested in that who are relatively new joiners. Cool. So the other kind of big sub-project that's going on right now is the platform engineering maturity model, which we often describe as the PEM, to save ourselves a few breaths. And it's the assessment model on top of it. So similar to Dominic, I'll give a quick one-liner about why we're doing it, which is the maturity model itself came about because while we had written and delivered a white paper, people were like, sure, but how do you do that? Like, how does that apply to me? And then we went kind of one level deeper to show like how you might relate to that white paper through where a more mature implementation or where you might have less mature implementations. And this is the same thing where people have read that platform engineering maturity model and they've seen value in it, but they've then wondered, how do I apply this to me? So we're sort of going one level deeper. The target audience is end users who would like to self-assess against the maturity model and have a more targeted set of readings off the back of it. So rather than going and reading the whole model, trying to identify where they are and what matters, how do they get given, here's where we think you are based on some answers, and therefore here's the things you should maybe research or learn more about to see how they'd apply to you and to your context. Makes for a tough survey because or assessment because you have to understand what their context is as well as what their experience is or what they have, and that's what we're sort of working through. So the current process is that we have a working doc there. You can see the sheets is linked where we're going through some proposed questions for each of the top aspects in the model, and we are discussing those as a group. So what these are, we've been running these now for, I don't know, a couple of months really, every week, having conversations and getting people's context. They're all up on YouTube if you're interested in seeing what people are talking about. And we've going to plan for 3 more open sessions like this. So we want to go through operations a bit more in depth. That'll be for the next hour after this call. Then next week we'll be going through measurements and any questions people add to the tab under measurements. And then the final week of January, we're going to go through interfaces again because we had felt like there was a bit of a challenge there of how to assess interfaces, in part because the model may have left more fuzzy space than expected. The idea, if we complete those 3 sessions as planned, the idea would be then to get a small subgroup that has been very present during those sessions to take on all the learnings from those sessions and create a single voice set of questions that would constitute sort of the first draft. And then that would go out to wide public review, obviously with prioritizing making sure this group gets informed and involved in that review process, but it would be open to anyone in the public to review. And that would to start that review process, and we'd get a sense of if we're on the right track, how much needs to get changed and how far away we would be from publishing. Even if those questions are in good shape, before we go to publish anything, we're going to need to figure out what content goes along with this questionnaire, right? How do we present these answers back to people? How do we give them their next steps and those kinds of things? There's still a good chunk of work left to do on this project. And as I said, the sessions are open sessions, are the next hour, and they're weekly. So you can sign up for those. That's what Brian actually linked to up at the top there in the housekeeping, and you can come and join those if you'd like. Any questions from anyone about what's going on in assessments, how to get involved? Anything on that in that space? See, we got too big. Everyone's too scared to talk now. No questions. But joke's on you, because it means we have a full half an hour for discussions, which means you all get to talk more. So okay, as I said, the goal is to use this session to get share alignment of what else is going on. It's not to solve all the deeper problems that's kind of being dealt with through Slack and through these other sessions, but we know that we have a lucky situation of having so many people so passionate about platform engineering here in the group, and we want to take advantage of that. So we've got a couple of discussions here in this section. So I'm going to put a kind of soft timer of 15 minutes on each, but that's not hard. We'll kind of see how the vibe is going for the day. And so Brian, you had raised the idea of a content club, and says he had to drop early and I no longer see him. Okay. So the content club, and verbalize the description of the issue. Anyone? Is anyone else closely related to the content club? I think I saw David as well, but he's dropped off as well. I think he was the other person who was involved. So I'm going to executive decision put that second in case David comes back and can help us out with that. So let's start the first. I'm going to switch the order of these discussions. So first up, we're going to talk about the Cozy Stack application. So Andre and Timur, if you want to chat about that.
Hi, Heather. It seems like Andre left this meeting. I I hoped he could say a few words about Kostak, but here we are. I think we need how I understood you. We need some feedbacks from our committee members, and I would like to offer all present people to maybe leave some feedback there, and maybe somebody know, or I think you told me earlier that it will be in February. Yes.
That there'll be a bit of changes.
Working
Yes.
with
Yep.
yes, working with applications. Okay, I think it's done. Thank you.
No worries. So just to summarize, because we had a bit of a chat in the recording from there. So I just want to make sure people have a chance to see what you've already kind of shared. So
I saw a few likes from people from channel, tag channel. On issue, I mean on issue in GitHub, I saw a few likes.
Yes, absolutely. So the so for context, the working groups are frequently specialty, more narrow focused topics within an architecture within the CNCF. And so the CNCF has a CTO, right? And it's sort of the same thing as any other business where there's like an office of the CTO, which has a larger number of people who can help spread the workload in such a big organization. And that can be thought of a little bit like the talk or the technical oversight committee. I think that's the right words. Thank you, Simon, for the nod. And then below the talk, they have what you can think of as like the next level down of specialists, and that would be the tags or the technical advisory groups. And the one that we're a part of here with as platforms working group is the tag app delivery. So projects such as Cozy Stack that fit under that specialty or technology will require review from the tag level to create like kind of evidence to join at the CNCF at either Sandbox or at the next level up. Those are the two you can apply for. And so I think Timur was explaining that they did apply, and I think there's a video somewhere of you doing a demo, Timur. That's what I was trying to look for to share with people.
Okay.
There's project presentations. I see it. So basically there's an existing issue. I'll put it in the Zoom chat and on the doc here. Previous application that includes some videos of the project and so forth, as well as some of the questions people asked about it and so forth. And the CNCF, in talking about opportunities to become a working group lead, there's so many opportunities in the CNCF to also be participating in these types of reviews of projects. So this will be happening at the tag level. And so, but we as the working group are part of that tag, and we should be contributing back to it. So anyone who wants to get involved in these sort of project reviews, this is a really good opportunity. Like, obviously we have Andre and Timur who are involved and coming to our meetings, like, that we can talk to and have conversations with, and provide feedback to. So yes. And then what Timur referenced is that I think we talked about the last meeting that we had, is that there is likely to be some restructuring of the organization under the TOC. So what the tags look like, what the working groups look like, we may see different names, we may see slightly different structures, we may see some reorganization of things in order to provide a better alignment with what the community needs and what can support the CNCF, like, kind of globally. And that has been proposed as something that will come into play kind of in February, as we'll be getting a new like
bucket.
rotation of the TOC at that
Mhm.
point as well. So that sort of can kind of align. So we may see some shifts in what our working group is being tasked with, or new faces as working groups sort of come together and collaborate together more and things like that. So when it comes to the formal process of applying to the sandbox, that is where I'm not as experienced, and also I'm not sure if these changes will affect that in any way. So that was what that was about. So just to summarize, Timur, is kind of your ask is just like to get any more feedback around the application and make sure people are engaging and giving votes of confidence and approval if they see an alignment with Cozy Stack and the CNCF. Is that sort of the ask?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah, so this is, yeah, as I say, it's a great opportunity both as a technologist to review another project, but also as a cloud native participant. If you see a need for something like Cozy Stack, or you like see that as filling a gap in the CNCF landscape, that's a really great piece of information to share back. And that's what basically they're looking for in these applications to the sandbox. So cool. Anyone else have any questions around sandbox applications or Cozy Stack in specific, if you've heard of the project before or have any questions about it? All right. So the second one, which we don't have anyone back that I think can speak to it, is the Content Club. So Content Club, I believe the context here was basically trying to get more ideas from the humans in this group out to the community, right? So not in a formal, like, white paper official way, because we know that takes the time and the level of reviews and the level of depth of content and all that to get there. But often those are built from a set of blogs and other conversations that are like the seed of information. So you'll often find that with, like, book authors. They're often prolific bloggers who then pull all those ideas together into something bigger. And so the idea behind Content Club is to pick a kind of area of focus and encourage any number of people from the group to write on that topic. I think this is the context. And that way you have sort of a group of people to share your ideas and think about something from different perspectives, and also share reviewing each other's posts, so that you can gain confidence to post if you're not someone who's a regular blogger, or if you're someone who likes to write about things but can never think of the right topic. This kind of gives you your topic, gives you your prompt. So what I think Brian's asking for is kind of more confidence in the idea, like, do people want to participate in this? And then I think what he's aiming for, I think I found it somewhere in another chat, maybe in Slack, he was hoping to kind of identify a topic for February. So if anyone has any topics that they'd love to, hey, Chris has got one,
Yay.
go for it.
No, I think it came out. We've been toying about with it, whether it was going to be a KubeCon presentation or whether it was going to be a blog post. I did have this idea from the work we've been doing on the maturity model stuff, really to start delving into team topologies, not team topologies as the people in the approach, but actually the shapes and sizes of platform engineering teams, the different approaches. I think we've called out there's not really good guidance out there. And so really to get something out there that stimulates a bit of discussion, because we found through all these chats, my normal view is about size and scale, right? When you're larger enterprise organizations typically do things differently from some of the people we've heard at KubeCon. I go back to Lego and how many, a couple of guys in a team at Lego doing something very specific for a small company. A small company, is that the right way to describe them? But you know what I mean?
Largest toy company in the world? No.
Yeah, well, exactly, right. But the things that they do are kind of smaller number of applications. It's really just trying to get that whole discussion out there, and let's get our hands around it. Let's get our views out there and get some sort of guidance. So yeah, I've been a bit passionate about that for a while. Abby, I'd quite like to do something. I don't necessarily have all the, being a dyslexic, don't necessarily the best at writing full content blog posts. Normally need help with that for people to check, especially the Scottishisms that come out. You know that better than anything, Abby. You've seen my emails, right? So a content club sounds ideal. People collaborating on trying to get something out there. I think we get better content if we all work together.
I think Colin's been pretty interested in this topic too, in terms of like the ecosystem sense of platform organizations, and a lot of the early stuff from the white paper and the maturity model were about a team, as opposed to potentially a bunch of capabilities built by more than just one team. So should ping him. Other Colin,
I
and
know.
not Colin
Yeah.
Lacey. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was forgetting his last name. I was gonna go to add it. Oop.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Cool. Anyone else have any other? So that's a great topic. We've got lots of months of the year if this is something that ends up being popular. Does anyone else have other topics they'd love to either see people write on or want collaboration with as well, just to add to the list, and that gives Brian something to work with when he comes back?
I mean, we started a series on platform as a product, and it's not quite a series yet. It needs a bit more in terms of like the practical, we had the how to start thinking about it, and then I posted kind of a shortish blog post, but we could use a lot more practical experience stuff or outcomes oriented things.
Cool. What else?
Maybe some vendors topic about when your customers use your platform, it's always some issues, but you need to know, is this on customer side issue or your platform issue? And this responsibility, issues of responsibility, maybe who broke this, or on whose side it was broken, and something about how to deal with this, how this like marginal yes issues between.
No, that's a great one, Timmer. I think that is, I've been seeing that one simmer and bubble up a little bit more recently than before. I think it's that observability of the platform is something that we are a growing requirement as we step away from templates, which don't require observability because other people are running that code and running that infrastructure for themselves. And we're starting to run things for people. Like, how do you draw that line is, I think, a really good one. And I see Ricardo has suggested make versus buy and the return on investment for platform engineering efforts, which is, I think, an evergreen engineering evergreen topic for sure. That, especially that build versus buy and what to do on there. So Yeah, and I'll add Nicolo onto that one. Cool. Awesome. So I noticed, sorry, any more ideas before we switch topics for the last few minutes of the meeting, last 15 minutes? All right, then, William, I think I noticed that you said you had a question, but it wasn't about Cozy Stack. And so I just want to make sure you get this chance to ask if it's not been covered yet.
Yeah, when you were asking if anybody have questions, but now I have two, because the one that I had before plus the one that I wanted to ask now that I raised the hand for. As topics, it was day 2. Would be great to have some content out about day 2 operations of platform engineer, or platforms day 2, day 3, day 100. We're always talking about the deployment, the implementation, and the use of platforms. We never talk about the day 2 and lifecycle management of platforms, how they should, how it should be done, what should not be done, what are anti-patterns, what are patterns, and all these things. Yeah. I think it would be great to team up with somebody and write something like that.
Nice. And was there another question as well, did you say?
Yes.
Other than the idea? Yeah? Why don't you shoot with the question?
There was some noise about making the working group a tag. What happened to that noise, and why it didn't happen yet?
Good question. So there was the noise around that was prompted by the question raised from the TOC that I was mentioning earlier. So that I will try and let me find the link to, I think it's in the previous meeting actually. There was a question raised by the TOC which said basically, hey, we're not sure
Are you done?
if
Yeah.
the if the current tag structure is supporting.
No, they actually, I mean, maybe with you that noise was arrived by then, but actually a lot of people started asking, why is this working group not a tag on its own? Why is it under app delivery, which makes no sense at all, to be honest. And I'm in a recording. Am I recording? Good. Makes no sense at all. I'll say it twice.
So I think honestly part of the conversations around the TOC is that the working groups and the tag structure isn't working quite right, and like what does good look like there. But to be perfectly clear to the group, if we were to become a tag, like this group were to become a tag, it would look very different. We've had a fairly loose operating structure where we've operated almost more like a user group than like a tag or even a working group to date, right? So to date, we've been basically working almost exclusively on work that supports end users and the like wider community outside. We've done near nothing to support projects internally to the CNCF. That is like 1/2, if not more than 1/2 of the expectations on tags, which is where I was talking about with Timmer's ask around the sandbox application. Like that would be a big part of the expectations on the tag on the group if it became a tag. So I think it's one of these things where there's I don't know if I know all the information. This might be conversations that I haven't been privy to. But I think that there's definitely we would need to understand what we're trying to achieve by switching structures to make sure that we're actually achieving those outcomes rather than getting kind of unexpected side effects that actually pull us away from the outcomes that we're aiming for. So I think that's one of the things that would be interesting to talk about.
I get that, Abby. I get that, but and it's true that we had a lot of slack on how we operate, but the working groups. I mean, if we were to get the supreme law applied as it should be, the working group has a beginning and must have an end, meaning of what is something to achieve, an outcome to achieve, and then a natural conclusion. So, I mean, if the TOC and the tags are to apply all the rules, then the working group will have to end at a certain point.
Correct. And if you have a look at the working group's charter, we are in a different universe. Like the charter is not accurate to what we do, how we
Not
work,
anymore.
what we try to achieve. And that is one of the things that so in speaking of like people joining in as a lead, like that's one of the things that leads need to be doing a better job of keeping an eye on and getting up to keeping in line, and both keeping it up to date with reality and also keeping us in line with it. There's sort of that tug and pull in both directions, right? You don't want the tail wagging the dog, but you also don't want to like so sort of the keeping those in line. And one of the things that we met as a leads group this year, and we said, you know, we're gonna acknowledge that it's not up to date, that it hasn't been up to date for a little while now, and that now isn't the right time to solve that problem until we understand what the new structures are going to be coming in. If we think that we're like a month away from understanding a new design of the structures under the TOC, then why would we rewrite a charter that would then obviously cause energy to write and therefore attachment to if it's going to get changed? So, but yes, you're 100% right, and that is, I think, one of the driving forces of revisiting how we do tags in working groups, is that we're not the only working group that hasn't been following the letter of the law or even the spirit of the law of how to organize. And you're right that working groups are supposed to be time bound, and in some ways I think that would be beneficial. Like I think proposing projects, so we've been sort of managing projects internally to the working group, right? So platform as a product paper was proposed, that was reshaped to say we should do some research that leads to that paper and so on. And then the assessment model was proposed, and that's been kind of pushing through. Those could be individual projects. Who should be managing them is a different conversation. Is that a platform specific working group? Is that something else? These are the things that should hopefully be clarified when we get more information about the new structures in the talk. So but as for if there's anything going on with proposing a platform's tag or technical advisory group, I'm not involved in that proposal, so I'm not familiar. If you're interested in knowing more, I would recommend maybe messaging inside the platform's working group to ask that, like Slack, just because then someone who isn't here could
No,
maybe
I was just
answer,
wondering.
but
I was just wondering.
yeah.
I was just wondering.
Yeah.
I found it a great thing for the working group, but I'm not looking at the side effects of
Yeah.
all
And
the
that's
other
where I
stuff.
think from my perspective, one thing that has been raised to my attention and I agree with is that we have to think about why we're doing the work we're doing. And like I, for one, if you know me, I'm like the antithesis of building a fiefdoms. Like I've been running a meetup for 6 years in London that has like, if we get 5 people, it's like a miracle. Like I've done nothing to particularly create a bigger, crazier one. It's like, this is the right shape, this is the right size, this is good. So I'm not personally a fan of saying our goal is to become bigger. Our goal is to be effective, and our goal is to make the members feel valued and like their time and their energy is well spent, and that and hopefully help people outside the group get the a sort of multiplier effect from the benefits of the humans inside this group working together. And I think we've been doing that with to great outcome. So I'm really happy with, personally, I'm very proud of where we've come to as a group. It's the but is it scale or is it effect and impact, and those kind of things are all the conversations that are being had, sort of honestly a bit above my pay grade. And we're gonna get some feedback and some ideas, and we'll be able to, we've already provided feedback and we'll be able to provide more as and when those ideas kind of solidify in the higher up orders. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. So bit of a weird, and like normally we, as I said, we try and talk on one subject a bit more. We had a bit of a weird set of discussions today. We'll try and make sure we get more discussion, deep discussion in for the next session. So if you can, any of these topics that we thought of for the content club, which I'll ping Brian about and make sure he's aware of, would be in themselves great discussion topics for the end of a working group session. And Yeah, lovely to see everybody here. Any final questions before we wrap up and give people a few minute break before those joining the assessment call or any other calls they have for their working day?
If Brian needs some hands to deal with content, I can participate. I have experience as a chief editor in different media, and I could help with that. I already wrote it in issues before New Year, but
Amazing. I will put that in my message to Brian. It'll be in the Slack channel so everyone will see it. I just want to make sure it gets into something else where Brian will see it and all that. And so I'll mention that, Timur. Thank you.
okay. Thanks.
All right. Well, then, everybody, thank you so much for coming. I'll get this video up online on YouTube if you know anyone who's missed the meeting and wants to catch up. That'll happen later tonight. And if you're interested, we're going to be doing the assessment call deep dive all around operations questions. That's going to be starting in 4 minutes. It's on a different Zoom, so you have to leave this one either way. And you can get to it on the calendar just the same way you got to this one. So awesome. How can you access Ricardo? Yeah, you know what I'll do is I'll put a link into the Slack channel as well, to the URL for the
Okay, thank you.
assessment call. No stress. Amazing.
See you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
Bye.
Have a nice evening. Yes, all day.
See ya.
Bye bye.